Until very recently, cleaning product companies were not required to provide ingredient information to consumers. However, with passage of the California Cleaning Product Ingredient Right to Know Act, companies now must disclose ingredients both on their product label and in more detail online. I want to walk you through a couple of different options for looking up ingredients and understanding what you might be seeing. So I'm going to start with Smart Label. Smart Label is a service that companies buy into that allow them to provide additional information to their consumers that may not fit on the label. Not all companies buy in, but the ones that do allow us to look information up pretty easily. So here are the companies. So many of them are food companies, but there are some cleaning product companies on here. We're going to start with RB, the makers of Lysol, because disinfectant spray is on our mind these days. So we're going to look those up. Now, many of the companies who use this service also have links to this website from their product website. Here we go. So we're going to look at this one, and you'll come to this page with a lot of information on it. These are all buckets of ingredients. Disinfectants only have active ingredients because those are the chemicals that kill the bacteria and virus. Intentionally added ingredients are things that are in there with a particular function that we can find out in just a minute. Fragrance components are what it sounds like. And then non-functional constituents are contaminants or byproducts that are in the final product, but without a function. So let's look at the fragrance components. There's a lot of them. It's not unusual for the highest number of chemicals to be fragrance chemicals. And if you click down on this first one, you'll see the function. And then you'll also see a CAS number, which is a unique identifier for this chemical. So we can find it, whether it's called this or something else. Some chemicals have multiple names for them. And then if we look at this one, we see there's a little DL next to it. And DL stands for designated lists. The California law has a set of 23 lists that are created by authoritative scientific bodies at the state, federal, and international level. And they identify chemicals linked to harms, including cancer, such as breast cancer, reproductive or developmental harm, neurotoxicity, hormone disruption, allergies, and air and water contamination. Any ingredient that is listed on one of these designated lists must be disclosed and disclosed regardless of concentration, with the one exception of these fragrance allergens. Fragrance allergens have to be disclosed if they're present in the product at 100 parts per million or more. This is a list identified by the EU. So if you're allergic to one of these chemicals, this is really important information. And if you're not, you may not be as worried about it. So that's a fragrance allergen. Let's go down and look at a couple more of these. This one is identified as a PBT, a persistent bioaccumulative and toxic chemical. So that's going to persist in the environment and something you may be concerned about. So that's important information. And then if you go down to D-limonene, you'll see this one has been identified as linked to cancer. So again, something that you might be concerned about. So let's look at the intentionally added ingredients. As I said, a shorter list, and let's look at this one. And this is an asthmagen. And this is important because the California law does not require that asthmagens be disclosed. However, the state of New York has put out a best practices, and they do encourage asthmagens to be disclosed. So we see that RB is going above and beyond what's required by the law by telling us about that asthmagen. So those are the ingredients and what designated lists they're on. And then if you want detailed information, you can go to what's called a safety data sheet, which is created for workers and has a lot of information in it. So that's how RB does this. Let's just look quickly at one other company to see how they're different, even in the context of Smart Label. So Procter & Gamble is a big company. We're going to look at Bounce sheets, and the list is going to come up, and we're going to click on this one, and we see this has a very short list of ingredients, at least general ingredients. But when you click on fragrance, There's a big long list of these. So when you click down on this one, you see that it's a fragrance ingredient and it has a CAS number, but that's all you see. But if you go down to some of these other chemicals, and we'll just pull this one up, we'll see that it has this additional link for more information. When you click on that, it takes you to a different website that tells you a lot about this product, and all the different names it can be called by, which is why we need a CAS number. And there's this section on safety. The Research Institute for Fragrance Materials is supported by industry, so they have a particular perspective on safety, which you may or may not trust. But we'll also see that this is a fragrance allergen because consumers who may be allergic have to be um, notified about it. And then if we hover over California, we also find out that this is a Prop 65 chemical. Prop 65 is a list of chemicals identified by the state of California as as being linked to cancer or reproductive harm. So that also may be something that you're concerned about, but it's a little bit harder to find. Now, since most of us don't shop through Smart Label, let's take a look at how you would find information on a company website. And each company is different. So, yeah, sometimes you have to poke around a little bit, but we'll start with the Honest Company. And we want to look at cleaning products. Let's look up conscious cleaning. This gives you a bunch of information. We want to, again, shop because we want to get to a specific product. So this gives a description of the product. And if you go down here, there's more information. And then there's this ingredient link. And this tells you the name of the ingredient and the CAS number. But there's not as much information as we'd like. But if we click on this PDF link, this brings us to a different sheet. It tells us where the safety data sheet is, but it gives us, again, that ingredient, CAS number, function, and then whether or not it's on a designated list. So in this case, there are some EU allergens. So that gives you a flavor for how you might find ingredients either through the Smart Label or through the company website. Now, the designated lists give a lot of information about a lot of different hazards. But if what you're interested specifically is breast cancer, then you can come to our website, link on the science and policy section, and then go down to the glossary of exposures. And that'll give you information specifically on breast cancer for all of these different chemicals. So we hope that's helpful and good luck in your research.